Great. So shall we? Oh, I was just going to make a comment that Ali had said about moving from Drupal to WordPress, and the WP Tavern had a post today or yesterday on automatic giving some guys in Northern Europe 20,000 pounds or something because they developed a Gutenberg editor for Drupal, that it was being quite well regarded and frequently used. And so this is an effort to sort of promote the development of the Gutenberg editor in Drupal. So I guess in a sense, if you migrate from Drupal to WordPress, you don't necessarily migrate in terms of the editor if you used Gutenberg when you're at Drupal. In any event, we now have a grand total of a dozen people, so we can get started. Let me see. I see John. Is Jonathan here? Are you there, Jonathan? Somewhere here?
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
Hi, Jonathan. Would you like to start then? You said that you wanted to change your email subscription or your email newsletter provider from MailChimp to Brevo.
Yeah.
And now, did you, I guess, first of all, tell us your the URL for your site so that we can look at
I left it in the group chat as well, but it's as it's spelled on Zoom, it's literally just my name, Jonathan Panetta.
Okay, I got it. Let me just whack it up here. What do you think? All right. So do you feel like leading off, Drew or Jack, or shall I? I'm easy.
Okay. Well, why don't you take it away, Robin?
Yeah, so let's find out, do you know, presumably your newsletter sign up is a form, right? So let's see if we can find it.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Do you know what form plugin you're using? Or first of all, are you using a plugin to do forms?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you know the name of the plugin?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I take it you don't have any experience with WordPress.
Very little. Like I've been learning it for about a month.
Right. Well, briefly, you need to find the way that the form is set up to collect newsletter subscriptions. And in that form will be the URL that you need from the email provider, Brevo. They will give you from your account the URL that you're going to use. And then from the plugin, you can find where that form is located and how you've implemented it. Presumably is implemented as a widget. You know what a widget is?
Yeah. Well, that's
I don't.
no.
Well, it's a way to put a chunk of content, often dynamic, somewhere in your site or in a template. So for example, for a newsletter form, that might be found in a sidebar or footer, right? So are you logged into your site now?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go to the dashboard and then share your screen so that we can look at the plugins page?
Yeah. I've scanned the site for plugins, and I'm seeing multiple forms and mailing list type plugins. There's the SendGrid mailing list. Then there is event tickets and registration, which might also have its own mailing list integration.
I got that far.
Then there's WP Forms Lite, which also has a mailing list integration. And then there's MailChimp for WP Pro, which I guess you'll be using for your for MailChimp.
That's I don't know. That's been another thing. I started on MailChimp when I got it up and running,
Oh,
but
right. Yeah,
there's a
okay.
lot of features that they didn't have unless you paid for. So like I switched over to
All right. So you want
Revo, but I think there's been conflicts between the two
okay.
servers. So
Right.
I'm not quite sure what to do about that, but I'm trying to switch everything over to Revo and get off of
But
MailChimp.
we're focused
Okay.
now on the newsletter, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is find out how that form is implemented. I guess we can look at the pages and see whether there's a page devoted to the form.
It's actually at the very bottom of the main page. It says subscribe to my newsletter, and it's in a container.
Right,
Right here. Subscribe to sign up for my newsletter.
right.
But
I'm just
we
trying to
don't
find,
know
oh,
where
there
it
it is,
goes.
okay. Yeah, so, well, let's look at the front page. So let's go to the dashboard, the back end of the site, right? You're looking at the front page now. What we want to do is log into WordPress
Okay, so you're there.
as the admin and find your way to the pages and then to the front page.
WordPress.org.
Yeah,
No, not WordPress.org. You're going to log
Oh.
into
we'll go back.
your domain name / WP admin. You want to log into your site. Right, you know how to do that?
Yeah.
No, you're going to use your domain name if you want to log into your own site.
Will this one be it?
Site.
Hang on just a second. Oh, wait a second. So this is a WordPress.com site. Okay. Right. So let's go to pages. And I guess homepage. Wait a second. Sorry, go back.
I'll go back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you got the one below home called newsletter. So let's click on that on the off chance that's exactly what we're looking for. All right, so what are we doing here?
Trying to load.
Well, there we go.
Does seem slow, doesn't it? So let's go right. Okay, so right. So somewhere here, there is a URL, a place for you to provide the URL. Maybe it's the submit button. No, let's go to the right side, the right sidebar.
You have to move the screen, I guess.
And let's just start with general. And down, where it says general there, yeah. And we're looking for a place to enter the URL for the email provider.
Submit button?
No, I don't think that's.
Sure, try submit button. I mean, in other words, I don't recall off the top of my head at all.
No, that's just the type of button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the buttons often have the URLs associated with them. Anyway, email address. Okay. So you see below actions, it says email address.
Yeah.
Now, this form doesn't have an email address, which is sort of interesting. Is it operational? Does it work? Have you been using it?
Email Jonathan Panetta Music.
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know
Yeah.
because we didn't set it up. So
Yeah, the form that is doing the newsletter subscription at the bottom of the bottom of the home page is a WP Forms form. And it has more than 2 fields in it.
Okay, so how do we get to that? Is it through the plugin settings
Yeah,
or?
through the WP Forms settings. Now, I don't know whether WP Forms supports Brevo directly. I'm sure it supports MailChimp directly.
Jonathan, do you know, have you checked that WP Forms is supported by the Brevo provider?
I think it is because my Brevo was working fine a month or 2 ago. Maybe it wasn't through that form or a different form or something, but Brevo was working.
I just looked up Brevo. Brevo used to be called Sendin Blue, which is
Yeah,
actually
they
one of
just changed their name recently.
Yeah, okay. That's why I didn't recognize it. Okay, so it might be. I'm sure that WP Forms probably supports Sendin Blue.
I think
Yes, but
because there has been 2
Drew,
registries,
just on the question of the
why-
front page here that we're looking at,
Yeah.
that's not the form in use from the looks of things. So I guess that's been deleted from the front page and the WP Forms one replacing it, right?
Well, the form that we're looking at on the screen share right now is not the one on the
Right, but that
home
is what's on the front page
Yeah.
as a block provided by the theme, presumably, or somebody. But in any event, it's not in use because we're not seeing it on the front page. In fact, the front page doesn't look like what we're seeing in any event. So there's something else here. So let's go back to, Drew, where do we find the WP Forms form, their page for the form? Do we go to it from the settings? So we go to the,
in the WP Forms settings.
okay, so let's go back one step to the dashboard page, the admin page. Jonathan,
Yeah.
we want to go to the dashboard and then to the plugins page.
So plugins.
Customize, I think. That would bring
No,
it
no,
back
no,
to
no,
the-
no.
All right, well, you were just there.
Yeah.
No, not customize your. Okay. Right, dashboard. So fix that in your memory because this is a thing that you're going to do constantly. And if you have to look each time this hard, you'll become quite frustrated from the process. So now
WP
let's go
Forms is
to,
right down at the bottom of the list there. Well, okay, up a little bit. You'll see WP
Okay.
Forms. There we are. Okay, and let's have a look at all forms.
Drew, I also note there's a send in blue menu item down at the bottom, the last item on the menu.
Yes, okay. Well, we can
Entries
look
are
at
not
that as
stormed.
well. All right. And there's the contact form. Okay, let's have a look and edit the contact form. Okay, and let's have a look at the field options for the sign up to my newsletter field. So if you
Field.
So you want the tab.
yeah, the field options. Okay, so let's click on the sign up to my newsletter thing, and we'll have a look at the options for that particular field.
What, say it again, Drew, on which, what are you referring to?
Yeah, what we want to do is look at the options for the
Sign up to my newsletter checkbox.
Yeah, sign up to my newsletter checkbox. I want to see where that's going.
Okay, that must be advanced because we're not seeing it now under general. So let's try the advanced tab. Field size, first name, last name, CSS classes, hide labels. No.
Smart logic.
So I think you need to actually select the field on the form. There we go. Okay. Sign up for my newsletter.
It's
all right.
MailChimp.
Says MailChimp on the top there.
Okay.
Right now, and that MailChimp list is the one in your MailChimp account that you selected or created.
Right.
So
So have a look at, let's look at the, oh, we are in the field options. Let's have a look at the, see if it'll let us change that in the advanced options.
or it might be in setup or settings in the left sidebar. Okay, let's try setup at the top of that left
Okay.
sidebar. Okay, so this is back to square one, so to speak.
So it's definitely a setting in here somewhere.
Right. Well, on the top right, there is the newsletter sign up form. And when in doubt and these sorts of things where it's a relatively simple form, sometimes it's easier just to create a new version and go through the steps, which is to say, choose the provider at that point. Fields.
It'd be a newsletter sign up form, probably.
Yeah. You scroll down a bit and just so we can see on the left hand side if there's any more. Okay, well, I think it's
Oh, okay. So this is done, the mailing list manager connections are done through add-ons in WP Forms. So I did see something that said add-ons in the settings somewhere. Oh, it's in WP Forms settings and then integrations. So we're going into the right where you were before.
Okay.
Settings and integrations.
Drew, I'm just looking at the WP Forms page for features and add-ons, and I can see where is it? Constant Contact, Aweber, MailChimp, Get Response, Active Campaign, HubSpot.
I think I see add-ons there. If you hover over WP Forms.
Right.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. So we're looking for this Sendin Blue or
They changed the name or something.
Yeah, it might say Bravo, but more likely it's. No, you must
Send
already
in blue
have.
here.
there it is. There it is. Yeah.
You see
But
it?
here.
I must have
Okay.
missed it.
Upgrade. Oh,
It's funny because it
So you have to upgrade in order
Oh,
for it to work.
Although you've all seem to already have the MailChimp one.
yeah, that may be the only one that's provided in the light version.
Mm.
I mean, they often do that, right? Give you one. Same with like cloud storage, for instance, they'll backup programs will give you one or two and then skip the second, the third or fourth, which are quite popular. But
This is a fairly common business model, is to give you the basic service and then charge extra for the all the integrations.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be though, because I had it working not that long ago and I didn't upgrade to anything.
No, but for it to work on the form though, it'll only let you
But
use
it
one.
was working on the form.
I don't know. I don't know what they did.
Well, I noticed in the Sendin Blue add-on page at WP Forums, it does mention that conditional logic, which I know for certain is a WP Forms Pro feature, not available in the light version.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess, so Drew, what you're thinking is that
Well, I'd like to go back to the WP Forms.
Are you looking to reach a wider audience and have decided to jump into email
And
marketing?
then go into WP Forms settings. Let's have a look and see if we can find this integrations tab.
WP.
Thing.
Okay,
Integration.
integrations, yeah. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got constant contact, active campaign, Aweber.
There's mail.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that the
And there's
MailChimp
some
one.
blue,
Yeah.
but they're all like faint. I don't know.
T upgrade.
Yeah.
Sendin Blue add-on is a pro feature, so you'd have to pay for it in order for it to
Oh.
work.
Then why was it working before? I don't know.
Already purchased? You purchased it, did you not?
No.
Bravo,
have-
did you pay?
I signed up for it. I didn't pay anything.
Oh, okay, all right.
If you have a license key for it, if you click already purchased, it'll prompt you to enter a license key to activate.
Yeah, which you didn't pay for anything though.
No, I should have it open in another one of these tabs. Yeah, like this is like the email list that I've been building up on the site before. This was from Breva, or formerly Sendin Blue. It was working perfectly fine before. So I don't know what happened.
Maybe they changed something on your site without telling you. I don't know. I have no idea, John. I don't know what they did.
Who is they?
Friends of his set up the website for him
Okay.
and basically said, here you go. And then
haven't done anything since.
haven't done anything since. And then we're trying to fix what they've done. So I don't know, like, I have no idea.
Well, perhaps there is another form that is using Sendin Blue directly that they were previously using for signups, like the one that we were looking at before. The form that appears to be ready to go, but is not actually in use.
On the actual newsletter tab or on the main page?
Well, possibly on the newsletter tab.
well, no, Drew, that was the form that we saw at the bottom of the homepage.
Of the
But
homepage.
that did not have the fields in it that are displayed on the homepage as we're looking at it now, which leads me to believe that block or pattern has been deleted from the homepage.
Mhm.
Well, I'm just
Wait a
having
second, but that doesn't make sense, because if it's there in the homepage now, then what is being displayed? I guess we can go and check and see whether it's the static home / front page. Well, it must be, because we don't have the blog roll. So
Yeah. Now the newsletter has that other form that we were looking at with just the two fields with the name and the email.
Right.
So that may be how people were signing up.
Most people were signing up from the front, from the main page, and then the
Oh, yeah.
newsletter. They tried to copy the form from the home page and put it on the newsletter page, but it wasn't working.
Okay.
Can you do that though? Like, can you copy that particular form and then just plug it in on the newsletter so they can sign up that way as well?
That's a problem because the form on the home page is built with WP forms, which you don't have the premium version of, or you don't have the necessary add-on
Mhm.
to do the send in blue form. But let's have another look at this form on the newsletter page. I wonder how, I'm just going to have a look and see how that form was made.
If it comes down to that though, because if I remember correctly, the free version of Send in Blue or Brevo, unless they changed something, said you could send 500 emails a year with the free version. So that's why I figured, why bother upgrading? I'm just talking out loud here. If it's a plugin issue that can only be in one place, I'd rather just get rid of the newsletter page and just have it on the homepage if that's the case. And that can avoid all these issues we're having.
Well, whatever form does work, if it's the one on the home page, then that's reasonably straightforward to simply copy that and use it on the newsletter page if that's what you want to do.
That won't work.
It
Why
won't
not?
work.
Because it's a WP forms form that you don't have the necessary plugin for.
Wait a sec, say it again.
You don't have the premium plugin required for that. So.
Oh, you mean to be able to use Send in Blue?
That's right.
So you
Yes,
have to
that's why I
continue
said
using-
whatever form is working can be copied to another place on the site if it's a template part that is intended to be used in potentially in more than one place in the same identical form in each of the second or third places. But
Right.
the point is that we don't have we're not sure if we have a working form in the first
Mhm.
place, right?
Well, the one on the homepage works because if people sign up, they get a confirmation email.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that through MailChimp or?
Well, it's through MailChimp.
Well, that's the problem. I
Yeah.
don't want to be using MailChimp. It's having
Yeah.
a conflict between the two of them.
So you think that the homepage form is the one that's still wired up with MailChimp?
Yes, it is.
And okay, but
Because if you try, I've tried putting my name and email address on the newsletter page and nothing happens.
right, but I'm looking at the bottom of the site's front page or homepage,
Mhm.
and then I'm looking then at the same time at this newsletter form in the shared screen, and they're not the same form.
No, they're not.
So which is it that we're talking about as the one that's working?
The one on the homepage.
Right. Well, so I guess my question is, well, how is this form working on the homepage when it doesn't appear on the page that in theory is what's being displayed?
Well, Robin, it actually does work. It just doesn't do what they want it to do. It's
Yeah.
signing people up using MailChimp, which is what they don't want.
Right,
It
but
is
Exactly.
why is the form displayed with its name, email, message fields, and the shared screen view we have of the same thing does not have those fields? It only has two of the fields, and one of those is name is for first and last, whereas in the
Right.
other version, it's first and last in separate fields.
Obviously, it's a different
Form.
form
Right,
or
but my
widget
question
or
is what is being displayed on the front? What are we seeing displayed? It's not what's being shared. So we
Right.
could go back to the dashboard and go to the settings. Where is it down in general settings, guys, to set the front page as static or blog? What is that under? Let's go to settings down a bit more.
oh,
No.
down here. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, then try general. Let's go.
Whoop.
It's,
Yeah, it's just below it.
it must be writing. Maybe it's writing.
Oh.
Okay, click that. No, Where I've lost my place here. Okay, try reading. It's the first two settings in the page when we get to the right one. So try reading again. There we go. So your home page displays a static page and it's home, right? And so if we now go back to pages in the left sidebar, up, click that, yep.
All pages?
Yeah, that's fine. And now let's find the home page. There we go, home page. Yep, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, it's so slow.
Now, are we seeing what's displayed? No. The very first thing is biography.
There's the
Okay, so now
content.
we've got the right. So I guess we clicked the wrong homepage somewhere else, but now we have what's displayed on the site and what can be edited are now the same page.
Mhm.
Right. Now, let's click in the top left corner about the fifth icon from the left. You see those three little parallel lines?
This.
Yeah, that's called list view. Click that. And now we want to click down maybe the last container and see if the form's in it. So just click container, click the arrow at the left. Click the next container. There we go. Now click WP Forms. All right. Now.
So, Robin, what is it that you're trying to do here?
Oh, I just wanted to solve the problem of having the right page to edit, which we didn't have until now.
Okay.
Right. The home page we were displaying was a different home page because the form at the bottom of the page was not the same as the one displayed. Now we're on the right home page to edit. And whatever values are in this form will be the values that are apparently working. Correct?
Well, that's except it's not doing what they want. It's sending it to MailChimp.
Right, but it is a working form.
Yeah.
And therefore, either we change the setup or we create a new version of this form in the same location, the same in all respects, except that it's sendin blue rather than MailChimp.
Except they don't have the premium plugin.
Right, but I mean, assuming that they solve that problem.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So in other words, it would be just going back to deleting this form and adding a new one and using send in blue instead.
Right. I would add put the new form, which is referred to as a pattern or a container or something to that effect. Put it immediately above this one.
Okay.
In other words, don't delete the one that you're going to delete until you got the new one running and you're satisfied with it, because you can always look at the other one to see how it was done.
Right.
And everything
Now,
but the integration, because you're happy with the form. It's the
Right.
integration that's the issue.
Right. Now, can we copy this container, this WP form, and replace that one on the newsletter page?
When if it's working satisfactorily, it's not quite as simple as just simply copy and paste. Let me just think now. I mean, there's a small sort of, well, at least in my way of doing it, there are two views of whatever you're editing. One is the view that we're seeing right now, the normal edit view. And there's a second one, which is called the code view. And that's the place where you go to copy something and then paste it in somewhere else, because
Right.
you're getting the code view of the thing, which is just the exact thing that you want. Now,
Right.
Here's what I suggest you do. Search in Google for a WP Forms send in blue add-on tutorial.
Okay.
And it will go through this sequence of step by step. And the one that you're really keen on is, how do you set up the integration? Where do you put where do you get the URL that you need? Where do you put it? Right? And
Right.
so have that literally showing and right in front of you when you do it, because that's the issue we've got right now. Otherwise, the form is very straightforward, and any WP Forms tutorial will take you through that in 5 or 10 minutes. And there will be 20 or 30 tutorials on YouTube. This WP
Okay.
Forms is
The
popular.
other thought is to use the form that's on the newsletter page and see if you can get that one working, because it'll work with Sendinblue.
Right. Right.
It's using something called Spectra blocks from a company called Brainstorm Force that also made your theme, the Astra theme. It used to be called Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg, and so it's using the Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg form block.
Mhm.
And it possibly might support Sendinblue directly without buying an additional
Okay.
add-on.
And just by the by, Spectra blocks are well regarded. There's a free version and a premium version, but they are well regarded. They're my sort of number 2 or number 3 kind of place to go if I don't have a block that I'm looking for some specific purpose. So you're in, the Delicious Brains outfit, even though the name's a bit strange, is well regarded and reliable as a rule. So
Okay.
you're on good ground there, and the suggestions well taken from Drew. Now let's just take one look at the newsletter page. Is it the same form?
No, it's a
Drew?
different form.
It's a different form.
It doesn't have the message. It just has name and email and submit.
Right, but it should be actually close to trivial to just add a new field, a message field, and then split the name into first and last name, which is always a good idea.
Right.
And but if it is working, then I would then look internally to see what the integration is and how it's working.
Yeah, the one on the newsletter page is not working. The one on the home page is working. That I know for
Right.
sure.
So I would rather than work with the homepage one and copy and paste it. And when in doubt regarding that, if you just Google copy Gutenberg pattern, they'll give you the same instructions that I gave you, but they probably will not use the code view version. Because with patterns, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you go to the patterns repository at wordpress.org and you find a pattern you like, whatever it is, could be a form pattern, you just click and copy it and then go to where you want to put it and then paste it in. That's it, full stop. You don't need to go to the code view. So maybe try that first. And if it doesn't work, then fall back on the other way, which is the technically most reliable way. But there's no reason why just copying the pattern itself, which is where we looked at that list view and you saw a container and then it contained WP form and something else. I forget what else. That's where you could copy as well. That little 3-dot menu to the right of the word container would be the place to take that into account. But definitely go the tutorial route to simply clearly understand how does this integration thing work. At what point do you have to say who you're integrating with, and is it purely a function of the add-on? In other words, once you've installed the add-on you want, then that in the tutorial presumably is going to say, well, okay, you're good to go now. And here's how the integration works. Here's the switch that you flip, to start using that integration.
Right.
And I guess that's the reason why they do it all through add-ons. It's because that's the light versus pro version of the plugin itself. And so that's that. All right. Anything else, Drew, to add?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's a comment here from Hetvi. There is a Sendinblue option, left-hand side means there's a plugin installed where we have to check the settings once. That's right at the very bottom. Yep.
I have to move you guys over here. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah, so click that. Yep. All right, so there's all your stuff. Well, yes, Sendin Blue will have documentation,
Oh, wait
and
a
it may
minute.
be that you can work from here.
But look at under send in blue, there's something that says forms, and in the left-hand column, send in blue
Yep.
forms.
It's possible that we have our form there. Form name.
No, that looks like they might provide you with some forms. Let's
Well,
go-
yeah, and if somewhere there'll be a form, but then it'll be brought into play with
So these forms,
code.
you can insert these forms into a page with a short code. So you can create a form in this plugin, and then insert it into a page using using a short code.
Let's click on default form and under edit, yeah, and just see what it looks like. Maybe click preview on the right there.
Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, click the little arrows going around.
Yeah,
Just refreshes.
it just
Doesn't do anything.
doesn't do anything really.
Okay, but it should be displaying what the code on the left should be displayed on the right.
Oh, like where it says name and email.
Yeah. Right now, you understand the sort of the basic logic is that you create a form in one place, like here, and
Right,
then you don't copy the form. You get the short code, which it's provided there where it says use the short code just under the code. It says use the short code, blah, 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 inside a post page or text. You're scrolling too far. Right. Stop.
oh, here,
Right.
inside a post page or text widget to display your sign up form, do not copy and paste. So use this code here, okay.
Right. So in other words, that short code, that's what it's called. That short code tells
create
the
the form.
WordPress application, go and get this form and park it right here. And it's a short code in the sense that that little chunk of code is replaced by the form that's been created. It could be, for example, a calendar. It could be a sign-up form. It could be a list of blog posts. These are all short codable widgets that you can do. So I would want to know from the Sendin Blue documentation, and then whether or not you have a license. Find out if the Sendin Blue add-on is a license thing, and if you've got a license, you might have a license that's expired. But in any event, there's enough
Okay,
detail here
to figure it
to
out,
be
yeah,
all you need to do the newsletter form as a whole, right?
okay. And then put that on the newsletter page, yeah.
Well, yeah, since it's the right provider, that's our starting point, right? Or at least,
Right,
like the most valuable thing would be to get the Sendin Blue provider working,
right,
and then worry about the detail. I mean, the forms, the simplicity itself, right? 3 fields, no problem.
right.
And then you could add the checkbox for the newsletter or whatever. Yeah, right. You remember we mentioned these spectra blocks. I see down the left sidebar yeah. So that's where there's
Okay.
lots of useful stuff that you can make use of in due course. But in general terms, when you're working with something like these forms and your newsletter sign up and so on, arm yourself first by learning the things which are critical to the plugin, like the integration aspect. That's the problem you start off with. So that's what you should learn about, so that when you are doing this, you have some sense of confidence that you know why you're doing what you're doing, and if it doesn't work, what you can do to fix it.
Right,
As opposed to, I mean, if you just rely on us, we could solve the problem potentially, but then tomorrow something else happens, you're back to square one without knowing anything.
right, for sure, for sure.
But these relatively simple forms are the stuff of innumerable, tutorials, both in written and YouTube style. So don't be bashful about taking advantage of them.
Right.
The other
Okay.
thing is that you mentioned something about 500 emails, and I wasn't sure whether that was 500 email subscribers or 500 emails sent to those subscribers.
Sent to the subscribers.
If it's the latter, it's not going to last very long, is it? I mean, when you go through 500 emails, is not very many. I mean, you do
That's
want to
per
be sending
year.
at least monthly to a newsletter list, right?
That's per year. So
Right.
it should renew.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and will that be enough though? Like,
Yeah, I'm not sending 500 emails. throughout
what
the
about
year.
subscribers though? What if you have 500 subscribers? And the limit is 500, then,
No, 500 emails,
Oh.
not subscribers.
okay.
Anyway, that's a problem to worry about in the future.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
Okay.
Whoops.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
How can I boost my website? I did the Google Ads for almost a year.
Hang on just a moment, please. I'm not sure we're finished
Okay, thanks.
Um,
Sorry. Okay,
with
sorry.
Jonathan. So are you guys cool to go now?
There was the one other thing I had put in the chat about on the homepage, there was a second header that just had his name, said Jonathan Panetta, musician, but it kept overlapping on the actual homepage.
Go to the-
Right. So what you want to do there is,
Like where it says Jonathan Panetta here, and it has all the links. Right underneath it, there was a space before you saw biography, and it had Jonathan Panetta, musician,
And we had another photo.
and there was another photo, but it kept overlapping on this here. And
okay,
I
well,
copied the
presumably
HTML.
that Jonathan Panetta on the left is in the header template part.
Right.
What theme have we got here, by the way?
I'm sorry.
What is the theme that's being used? Is it a block theme?
Is it a blog theme?
A block theme.
A block
this
theme?
is,
I
it's,
don't-
It's Astra.
It's Astra. Yeah.
Okay.
And I put the HTML in the chat. I don't know where the chat went now. I lost it here.
It's there, it's in the middle.
Oh, here.
16.
Okay.
Right. Well, the reason I'm asking is that if it's a block theme, then you would look for the template part called header.
Header.
And, adjust it appropriately so that it isn't intruding, so that the biography block isn't intruding or overlapping with the header block or vice versa, right?
Right.
So those two blocks, the header and then the one that follows,
Right.
are in different places. The header block is the
Yeah.
template part,
Right.
or else I guess it's in the customizer. Drew, with Astra, it would be in the customizer, right? Controls for the header block, the margins and padding.
Yeah.
Okay, so where you see customizer in the
Right.
black bar, click on that. And there should be something labeled. Go ahead, click on customizer, and then you'll see one of these things called header. Where's header?
Header builder.
Builder. Right.
Yeah. See how close they are together, and before.
Right. Actually, okay, so but I guess the point is that the biography part shouldn't be part of the header, should it?
No.
In other
It
words,
should be
the
for-
header is what you want reproduced on every page, right? Unless you decide otherwise. In other words, it's a site feature, same as the footer, header, footer, same idea.
Right.
Biography, though, is presumably just on the front page,
Yeah.
Right.
right? And so therefore, you get to the header through the customizer, you get to the biography first block with, where the heading is that says biography. That will be in the block editor, looking for a page called biography, presumably, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just to repeat, because we're not going to do it now,
Right.
the customizer is where the headers values are set, and the two things that you care about are the padding and the margins, and particularly the bottom padding or the bottom margin.
Right.
It's either too large or too small, relative to the biography part. And then in the block editor, the standard editor, you find the page called biography and look at it from the same point of view, except that you're looking at that first block and you're saying, how can I adjust its margins or padding? So there's space between this and the header,
Right.
right? And so it's a conflict between those two. And one or the other needs to be adjusted, or eventually both, but it's easier to do one or the other. Right? And if you go back to, if you're viewing the biography page as a page, which means with the block editor, then if you click that top block, you can see what its padding and margins are set as. They'll be in the right-hand sidebar.
See, this
It'd be under headers, probably design.
Right.
And there's width.
See,
and
there's
margins
nothing
and
in-
so on. They're all
there's
there.
nothing written in the margins.
Right. So then you need to add something to create some like bottom margin, for instance. Anyway, we're not going to go into that now, but that's where you would work. And you'd
Okay.
see the same thing when you're in the block editor, looking at the biography page, except it'll be in the right-hand sidebar, not the left one.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And then you just put values in for the margins in order to shift things down.
Right. And in the case of the biography page, it's the top margin or padding.
Okay.
And in the case of the header, it's the bottom.
Okay. What's
that's
the
where they
difference
use-
between PX and EM? What does that mean?
EX is pixels.
Okay.
EM's a measurement unit called EMs, which is like 1.0 EM is the standard font that you're using for body text. And so
Okay.
1.5 EM is 1.5 times the height of that particular font character or sample character.
Okay. Perfect. Well, that gives me a lot to
I
start
would
with.
work with pixels for the time being because that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
And you should be good to go.
Okay, great. Gives me something to work with.
Yeah. You've
Okay.
got an interesting mix because you have a so-called classic theme in Astra, but you're also using the block editor for pages and posts. And so you're sort of straddling the old world and the new world. But
Right.
in the case of Astra, as well as themes like Cadence, they have taken the view that they're going to stick with with theming from the classic days or the existing technology until full site editing is finally sort of further developed by WordPress and has all of the features and capabilities that current themes now have.
Okay.
And so you're in a good position as far as Astra. Astra is a good theme to stay with and learn to work with because you have to
Okay.
invest the time to learn about it, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
hit those
It's
tutorials.
trial and error.
Yes.
Trial and error. Okay,
Well, we like to
great.
think of it by its more sophisticated term, iterative development,
Okay.
which means trial and error.
Right. Perfect.
Which is actually
Okay.
the
Well,
way all of us learn things, right? Is trying
Right.
until it works, and then you've learned something.
right. For sure. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your help. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, and if you've benefited from this, if you just go back to the event page and drop a comment there, then that will be encouragement to others to come to our sessions and see if they can move forward
Perfect.
with their do-it-yourself
Okay.
WordPress thing.
All right. Great. Thank you so much.
All right then,
So much, Rob.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
ciao.
Now, Ali had the next question up in the chat saying, is migrating to WordPress from Drupal? I wanted to know about best practices.
Well, so what do you think, Drew? Is that something that
So migrating a site. So I guess that means exporting the content. I can't think of how you would export the blog content from a Drupal site so that WordPress could actually understand it. I guess it depends on what you are actually trying to migrate, whether you're trying to migrate users, whether you're trying to migrate blog content, whether you're trying to migrate pages or design.
Let's assume, unless there's further information, that we're just migrating the content, which is the simplest case in the sense of a site is about its content. So we could focus on that. I just did a quick check, and there is a, strange as it may sound, June 16th, 2023, Kinsta tutorial, how to migrate from Drupal to WordPress in 10 steps.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go.
And that's pretty hot. That's only like 4 days old. Who are we talking to about this? Whose was that?
That would be me.
Ali. Right. So I put the link in.
I tried that, but they're trying to sell you on a plugin, and I don't want to do that. I kind of want to do it in a more technical way where I can migrate the users.
What plugin are they recommending?
Well, I think they're recommending their service. If not, they're recommending the WP all-in-one migration plugin, which is pretty cool, but you need to pay for the premium to get those extra custom fields and extra site content like users. So I guess I was just looking for technical best practices if you guys were to do it. And yeah, what should be migrated, because I have an idea on how to do it. I just want to get a second opinion, basically. Does that make sense?
There was a protocol I remember years ago from my Drupal days for converting between content management systems. It was called I think it was CMIS, the Content Management Information Standard or something like that. And I remember there was one other content management system other than Drupal that adopted it. It was called Alfresco, and they set up gateways between Drupal and Alfresco. But I wonder if there's one for Drupal and WordPress. One of the things that people are used to in the Drupal world is that pretty much everything is free. Whereas in the WordPress world, you get a little taste for free, and then you have to pay up for the good stuff. So let's see that. Yeah, I'm just looking at the information on CMIS. It looks like this hasn't gone any farther in the last 10 years. So they're still doing content sharing between Drupal and Alfresco, but it hasn't really gone any farther than that. It was a good idea that just never caught on.
Mhm.
I'm surprised that WordPress didn't get into it. Let's see if there's a Oh. Well, it looks like Alfresco was working on a CMIS plugin.
Seems to me, Drew, that it's
Ah.
more practical if in the case here that Kinsta's recommending this free plugin, the only thing it doesn't do is the custom fields.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what Ali's mentioned
Hmm.
specifically.
Yeah, because the site that I have has custom post types and I'm building it. I'm just wondering like if I'm doing it right. So basically I'm just taking what Drupal has, looking at its content, the different types of content types, the files and media, the users, the modules, the menus, and then trying to, you know, import it through the database on the WordPress side. So I'm just wondering what would be the best practice for that, or should I just, you know, just make it simple, not worry about the complications, just start all over, build it from scratch, re-engineer kind of thing?
Well, it seems to me that for the amount of time that would be involved in avoiding the premium version of the plugin for the various things that are customized in the Drupal side, like custom post types, that I don't know what your time is worth, but is it worth a half a dozen hours to save $50? Is it worth 20 hours to save $50?
I guess, yeah. But the learning is pretty cool.
Yeah, except it doesn't sound very practical, does it?
No. All right.
Now, the other thing is that of the various people that provide this sort of information, Kinsta is right up there in the top half dozen sites for WordPress know-how. So I would expect this to be very reliable a set of instructions. And if they recommended this plugin as being able to do what you want to do with a couple of exceptions, then I think that's pretty reliable as well.
Yeah, I looked into also what the CMIS plugin actually does, and it's not quite what you're looking at. What it does is it will display content from your Drupal site on a WordPress site, but it's not true migration. It's like putting a veneer on top of your Drupal site.
Mm.
So your data would still live in Drupal, but just be displayed in WordPress.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is what you want.
No, I don't. Because, yeah, we're moving to WordPress from Drupal.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, looking at the cost benefit analysis, hours versus just paying $50. I mean, yeah, for sure.
Well, I would think that the time that you could devote and the things to learn, I think it makes more sense to learn how to implement or extend the features that you have in Drupal into the WordPress site. It won't be exactly a one-to-one match, but that'll take some time and effort, and that's much more valuable know-how to acquire than something that you do once, migrate from one Drupal site to a WordPress site. And then unless you're going to do that 6 months from now, and again, a year from now, how much value is that know-how going to be compared to how does Drupal handle custom post types and ACF fields and so on? And how can you implement them effectively in WordPress? And that seems to me to be a lot more valuable.
Right.
It's my 2 cents worth.
No, it definitely makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. And as I say, as I commented at the beginning of this session, I just was reading a post on WP WordPress Tavern on the work that's being done on the Drupal side with the Gutenberg editor. So if you're had any familiarity with that on the Drupal side, you'll be on familiar ground with WordPress's Gutenberg editor. Okay. Go back. Dude, have you looked at the chat?
Well,
Hence what's-
yeah, so there was someone named Naguib who gave us a URL but didn't explain what his issue was. I don't see.
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
There you are.
This is my first exposure to anything WordPress related. Normally, I always got someone else to do the work for me, and I'm trying to get better at it. So it's just understanding what's the most useful functions. I opened the dashboard, and there's a whole list of names, and every one of them looks like it's a whole new program that a lot of them are doing the same thing. So it's just even identifying the difference from one to the other.
You tell us what theme you're using on your site.
No, because that was implemented by somebody I hired.
Yes, but why don't you just look and see?
Okay, how would I do that?
Right, so you're basically at square one starting off. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's why I was
Okay.
actually just listening.
Oh, it's the
Yeah,
hello.
so-
It's the Hello Elementor theme. So he's using Hello with presumably with Elementor.
Right. And so that's a classic theme, I take it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, as far as advice to give you, on the WordPress.org site, you'll find something that is referred to as, let me just get a link for you. Learn WordPress.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
I've
You're
seen
like-
some of those. I'll have to go. I've also got a full-time job, so this is just an extra creative outlet for me. So
Yes, but the reason I'm telling you this is because they have a variety of tutorials, video tutorials,
Mhm.
that are very well written and geared for novices who are starting out from zero.
okay,
And so they take you through in a methodical way. And because this is supported by WordPress.org, or at least it's put on by WordPress.org, you can have the confidence that the material is vetted and is good quality and reliable and so on. But they, for example, have several sessions on, okay, you're starting up, let's create a 4-page website in WordPress from scratch. We're just going to start now, and in an hour, we'll have done the startup of the site through each step. And because it's a video tutorial, you can stop it and follow along and then figure out what you're doing and then go back to the tutorial and so on. Plus they have a transcript for
Right.
these. One woman in particular named Sarah Snow has done lots of these tutorials. So if you were to search for her tutorials, she's good quite good at the sort of nervousness that all beginners start off with. When you're not quite sure what's going on, you're afraid you're going to break something and so on. Well, she's great at that because she has been a beginner herself and recalls clearly what she went through. So
Right.
that's a good place to go.
okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, Drew, are you back to the
Next up-
list?
Yeah, next up we have food safety quality solutions.
All
That's me.
plugins have failed. The main page is hardly can't be seen. Sounds like deep doo-doo.
So I got my website done by a web developer, and after he handed over the website, the plugins failed. The slider does not work anymore. And all of a sudden, I find that the main page has just few blocks only, and I had to reconstruct the home page. And and it's a mess. And I don't know WordPress, but I tried to learn a little bit and I tried to fix a part of it. And I'll appreciate if you can help me with a little bit of stuff.
Okay, so let me just see if I can find the site.
Well, the theme is Astra, so that's a good sign. That's a good theme.
Well, we don't have too much on the homepage to, to start off with. So,
Now you say that the plugins have failed.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have a lot of, I wonder if your site is out of date or and if your plugins are out of date.
So I tried to install plugins, and then it said that plugins are not there in the directory. The directory, the plugins cannot be found in directory. I went into the dashboard to install Smart Slider, and then it said it cannot be found in the directory. So every time I started to download a plugin, it said no, cannot be found in directory. So that's
why don't you log into your site, go to the dashboard, the main page, share your screen so that we can then see what you've got. Because your description of things doesn't really provide that much information because you don't know what things are called.
Right. I'm
So
going to
let's
share my
start
screen.
off by log into your site.
Okay, I'm done, and I'll share my screen.
Yep.
Okay, can you see my screen, sir?
Yes, we can.
Yes. So this shouldn't be. This is
Okay, but wait a
just
second.
the
We
main
don't, we're
screen.
not there yet. We want to go to the dashboard. You're just displaying the site. What we want is do you understand how to log in as the administrator of your site?
Yes.
That's what we want to do now.
And I go to dashboard.
Sure.
Here you go.
Okay, so here we are. Let's now go to plugins on the left sidebar. No plugins are currently available.
And it says no plugins available. And I went here.
Now let's click on page.
plugin.
Let's
No.
click on pages.
Pages.
There we go. Okay. Now, do we have a home page or front page, or what do you call it? Scroll down.
Yes, we have a home page. I
Yeah, let's
constructed the
click edit on
home
that.
page actually. Shall I?
Just click the edit button, edit Word.
So that main page, home page is constructed. The main page is all chaos.
Is all which?
Pardon me?
I didn't hear what you said just now. All right, so we have So can you just scroll down the page and show us, is there more to the page than what we're seeing?
Okay.
Now, is this
Entire-
what you expect to see on the homepage?
Yes, this was newly constructed, but this was like a rolling bar and I did not know how to make it because that was collapsed. So I had
Right,
to
but
just type
what
it
we're looking at
one
though,
after
as
the other.
displaying on the site right now isn't what we're seeing here.
Yeah, because the main page or the primary page should have all this stuff, what is in the home page. So since the primary page was collapsed, I had to reconstruct this home page, but I would want this home page to be my primary page. So when they type the fsqs.ca, the home page pops up.
Right, let's just clarify one thing. There is a page called Home, and we're looking at it right now on the shared screen, correct?
Correct.
What's being displayed on the site is another page, correct?
Yes, correct.
Right. And there's some reason why you don't display the homepage. What is the reason?
I don't know why, because it was constructed by a web designer. And
Okay, so
it was
you don't know
working.
why the homepage is not displaying. Is that correct?
No, yes, correct, sir.
Okay.
Correct.
So let's go to the dashboard again. Top left corner. Yep. And now we want to go pages. And oh, sorry, it's under settings, the last item in the menu, down at the bottom, all the way down to the bottom. And under reading, the third item. Okay. You see at the top, it says your homepage displays your latest posts. But you don't want that. You want the homepage to be displayed, correct?
Yes.
So you click the other button, the static page. Click the other button up there. Yep. See the button to the left? No, go back. Just click the back button.
It's on.
So you see
Right. So
the radio button box, that light right there, yeah.
yep, click that. And under homepage, select home.
Right.
Bottom left, save changes. And now look at the homepage. Yeah, so now just switch your own tab. Don't leave where you are now. Just click a new tab in your browser, a new tab in your browser. In the browser at the top, all the way up at the top. Click that little plus button. Type in your site's name. Okay, that's fine. Just hit return. Okay, so this is your homepage.
Oh, yeah, it got fixed.
Well, it didn't get fixed. It just you have to tell WordPress what to display as your either the homepage or whatever name. You can pick any name you like for that first page. It happens to be called home.
Right.
I personally prefer the word front as the front page as opposed to the home page, but the label doesn't matter. It is simply the page you want to be displayed as the static page when somebody lands on your domain, right? And now the page consists of this page, homepage consists of several parts.
Yeah.
Part of it is controlled by the theme. So that button in the black bar where it says customize, don't click it, just look at it. Right?
Right.
If you were to click customize, I use the word if because I didn't want you to spend the time taking us there,
Okay.
just to
Right.
read where it says header, builder, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so the
So-
reason I'm telling you this is that the page you see displayed is made up of a header and a footer, which are controlled in the
Right.
customizer that we're looking at right now. Those are site
Right.
or theme features. They affect everything on the site by design. However, the
Okay.
rest of your homepage, everything between the header and the footer, is controlled or edited by a different procedure. And that is where you click on the home page in Pages, and then you are going to open that up and be looking at it through the block editor. So the reason I'm telling you all this is because you change headers and footers in one place with one editor, and you change everything between those two template parts by using another editor called the block editor or Gutenberg editor. And if you understand that
Okay.
important distinction,
Yes. Yes.
you will be able to
Yes.
sort of navigate through this. And I mentioned that woman Sarah Snow and the WordPress.org learning videos. Well, she has
Right.
tutorials specifically on how do I edit my front page or my home page, which is exactly what you want to do, right?
Yes.
Like to be able to change the words or the font or the bolding or the text or the image or whatever. That's what her tutorial webinar will teach you.
Right.
And it's
So-
a very easy pace, and she's become a pretty good teacher, and
Okay.
so I recommend her.
Right. So will she also teach me now? These are my testimonials. It was going like a rolling bar. It was flashing one after the other, but everything collapsed. And so I had to just retype them because I did not know how to do that rolling bar type of a thing. So that also collapsed. And also the
Well, actually,
slider
before
collapsed.
you go into those details, there's a
Uh-huh.
problem with your site in that
Uh-huh.
you think plugins have been installed, but they do not appear. It may be
No,
that the
yeah.
directory in which they belong is for some reason not correctly labeled in some form or fashion. And so until you fix that, your site is sort of hamstrung because you aren't going to be able to use any plugins without
Right.
repairing whatever they're addressing that issue. Any thoughts,
Has
Drew, in
the-
terms of any way to get at that without FTPing into the directories of in the hosting side of
Well,
things?
I guess my first thought would be to reinstall the current version of WordPress, which is a one-click thing. You go to the updates menu and you just click reinstall.
How do I do that?
It's
Well, I
on
guess
the-
we're pretty confident there probably won't be any backups, right? If there are no plugins. Which host are you using?
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy. Anybody know off the top of their head what's the basic plans backup feature? Is it daily, nightly, on demand, once a year?
Hmm.
Anyway, the reason I mention that is because normally when you are about to update your site with the latest WordPress version, you'd like to know that you have a backup copy on the off chance that something might go wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most people rely on a plugin for a backup. And if you don't have any plugins available, then you're not doing backups, at least that you control. I'm just a little hesitant to tell you how to go into the back end of your site and look at the directories involved, because that's not sort of an area that novices are generally encouraged to go to. It's actually nothing terribly scary about it. It's just not the practice usually to get into that at this stage. Is GoDaddy a cPanel, or what do they have as their?
Well, they had two options. They have cheap cPanel hosting, and they also have a dedicated WordPress hosting. I believe that.
Well, one way or the other, they're going to have access to the file system, right, on their server.
Yeah, I'm just looking into. I have one site using cheap cPanel hosting, and I'm just gonna have a look into my account there. Oh, you know what? It's not even WordPress. It's an HTML site, so it won't. So it'll be just standard cPanel.
What we're trying to address here is the fact that the first and obvious reason why no plugins are able to be installed or appearing as installed is because WordPress expects to find plugins in a specific folder with a specific name on it. And so if the plugins for some reason are in a different folder and WordPress hasn't been told, and I guess, is it WP config that has that information? I don't know. Somewhere WordPress has a setting that says, go to this folder to scan the plugins, and therefore which ones are activated, and then display those appropriately in the plugins page. Well, it's not doing that, and it's not allowing plugins to be installed. And the sort of the obvious answer seems to me to be you can't find the folder in question. So I don't know why anybody would change the name of the plugins folder. Let me just.
The only
That's
thing
the
I can.
website developer. Go ahead.
The only reason I can think of that someone would change the name of the plugins folder is if they were doing a diagnostic where they were trying to disable all plugins at once.
Which could mean just rename the folder for that purpose, right? And then do nothing else.
But just.
But they didn't turn it back on. You
Yeah.
turn it back to normal.
Maybe. And the only way to tell that would be to log in through the hosting panel.
Okay, well, here's something you can do then with GoDaddy. Try it out at least. Is start a support ticket and say that tell GoDaddy that you're having difficulty with your plugins because ones that you thought were installed don't appear, and you're not able to install new ones. Please check and advise if the plugin folder has been renamed, and if so, change it back.
Yeah, GoDaddy doesn't have a ticketing system. You have to phone in support. It's a bit of a pain. That they might have chat support. I'm not sure. I know that they do take phone calls. Now they are 24/7, which is something. It's likely that they're going to tell you that this is a WordPress problem and not a hosting problem. That's their standard answer to anything WordPress related.
Well, then really what you need to do then is look in the GoDaddy documentation for how do you view the folders or directories of your site that exist on the host server. And that is where all the different folders that make up the WordPress installation are to be found. And you'll have no trouble finding out what is the name of the plugin folder supposed to be, and you're going to look for that. And if you find something that looks like the plugin folder, but it's got a name like plugins X or old plugins or plugins suspended or something, some adjective, some suffix added or prefix added that changes the plugin directory name, then what you want to do is change it back to the proper name for WordPress to know where it is and what to do with it.
Right.
And if
So
GoDaddy won't do that for you because you're a novice, then you have to do it yourself. And there is a specific tool in the hosting panel for users that lets you look at the the folders where your WordPress installation lies. Right? Could be called file directory,
right.
or file host,
Okay.
or files even.
Right.
And there'll be documentation on GoDaddy that'll specifically say, this is how you find out sort of how things are, or where things are located on the server for your site. And that's what you want to know.
Right. Okay.
Because most of the time,
Right.
plugins are sort of either they're working or they're not. And if they're not working, there's really not that much you can do about it, except find a replacement. And so that's why we're focusing on this very specific sort of issue, because there's not much else that could explain why plugins aren't showing up and why plugins can't be installed. Except some problem with that name.
Right. So even the slider, the scroller for testimonials, then contact pages, everything will depend on the plugin, right?
That's right.
Okay. Okay. All right. I got it. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. I'm sorry we can't actually do it for you, but logging into your site's backend in that fashion, just a wee bit more than I feel comfortable doing in this sort of session.
Right. This top page, I have all this stuff in right at the header, which I don't want. If I have only this, it's enough for me. How do I delete this one?
It does rather look like you have two headers there, doesn't it?
Yes.
You have one header inside another or on top of another. And so you go to your customizer and look for the header builder and then see what's displayed and then work from there. But again, Astra, or at least, Astra is going to have ample documentation on how to deal with the header component.
Right.
And so really you should, in a situation like this, you should always start by going to the documentation that's provided, because that's exactly what it's for. It's to get you started and explain to you, here are the things you need to pay attention to. This is how things work. And in the case of the header, it looks like you've got at least two headers there. And if you look at the one that has the logo on it, right, then the components of the header there's several components, but one component is the site logo, which is obviously the colored one. And then the site name is a second component. And then the navigation menu, home, about us, and so on, is a third element. And those are all set out in the header builder, right?
Yeah.
They'll be there to turn them on and to decide what exactly is supposed to appear for the site logo image and what is exactly to appear for the site name. And there'll be fields to fill in, and that's what's been done to create the header you see in front of you. I'm sorry, the last thing, there's a little search. The magnifier icon is for a search function, which is in the navigation menu. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some stuff to do.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh, by the way, there will be in that learning part of WordPress.org, there will be specific webinars specifically on headers, navigation menus, and so on, that will drill right into this particular subject in great detail.
Right. Okay.
They're in good hands.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Robin. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
if I delete this, it's going to cause me a problem. I thought I didn't want to delete anything.
No, but you're not going to need to,
Huh.
right? At most, you'll just simply create a new page or add a new plugin rather than delete anything.
Okay.
In any event, I put the link to the Learn WordPress and Sarah Snow's name down there, and so you're good to go.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Did you send me the link so that I
Yeah,
can
I just
copy
put it in
right
there. I
away?
had been inadvertently sending messages direct to Jacques rather than to everyone, and I just realized it. And I don't know how that happened.
Oh, thank you very much.
Happy to help.
And the recording of this session will be available for us to review, right?
Yes, and actually, if you just make a note of the time,
Mhm.
you'll see there's a timeline in the YouTube. Like if you click the more button that's under the main display of the YouTube video,
Right.
then they have the timeline,
Okay.
and the AI breaks up the video into the components in theory to match us up to the people. There'll be actually in the announcement of the YouTube video, probably what's today, probably Thursday, there'll be a second URL for a different place for the video called grain, like in grain that grows out in the in the prairies. Anyway, the grain is an alternative to Zoom, which I'm trying out because I found that the transcript from Zoom pretty much sucks. And the grain transcript seems better, but it also produces a summary as well as a timeline. And so I'd be happy to hear any comments people have comparing YouTube to grain, because we might make a switch from one to the other.
Okay.
All right. Drew, are you in the chat window? Do you know who's next?
Yeah, I am. So
Right.
there's the
Thank you
message.
very much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. What's your name, by the way?
Me, I'm
Yep.
Regina.
Regina. Just because
Yeah.
calling you food safety, a little boring.
Yeah,
If you
that's my
click the
company
three
name.
dots for yourself, you can rename yourself to have a human name, just because it's easier in a situation like this. Anyway, that's just
Okay.
a minor point. Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, happy to help. Okay, so where were you, Drew?
Okay, so we have a question from Fred. Fred says, I'm having an issue marketing my website.
All right, I see Jack's already thrown a few things in there. Where's Fred? You there, Fred? Yeah, Regina, if you want to
can
stop sharing, that's probably a good
sharing
idea.
your screen, yeah.
There we go. Do we have Fred still? And I don't know. I don't see
I
Fred.
don't see Fred. Okay, no, maybe we'll.
Okay, so let's go to whoever's next. I don't think Fred's hung in there.
So the question from David Mazur, is David here? Yes.
So David, what's up with you? We're having trouble with the, David. We're having trouble with the audio. You're coming through with mouse squeaks. Like if we cut off everything but 20,000 hertz and above.
Yeah, is this better by chance?
Excellent. What did you do?
That's my rural bandwidth. I just shut off my video.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for hosting this. And so my knowledge of WordPress is kind of intermediate. And right now we have an organic vegetable farm. We sell vegetable box subscriptions through a WooCommerce site. I say subscriptions, you know, it's not like the traditional thing as you would see on other websites where you pay monthly or weekly and you can skip and your credit card gets charged every month or so. We do it differently where people pay ahead of time. So basically our harvest starts in a couple of weeks, and by that time everybody's paid for the whole season of vegetables, and they get to pick them up every week or every 2 weeks. So what I'm trying to incorporate into our system or workflow is that some people are away, they go on vacations, or they want to skip that week, and we want to give them a credit of like $35 that they can go ahead and spend on our website to purchase kind of one-off vegetables later at a later time. And I just wanted to see if you had any like ideas, just brainstorming of how to kind of go about doing that. Either a no-code way, or if there's coding required, just like high level, you know, kind of like connecting a few different plugins or things like a form to maybe something like Airtable or whatnot. So basically, our website uses Fluid Forms. We have the Pro version. We have WooCommerce. We have Fluent CRM as well. But I don't really have a custom field set up to like record these weeks that people are going to skip, like these dates that they're going to give us. And it'll be more than one as well for each individual user. It could be one, it could be 5. And we also use the standard WooCommerce Wallet plugin, which gives you like ability to have like store credit that I just set up, but I haven't had a chance to dig into it too much.
I'm just looking
So
at some material on the WooCommerce store credit, which creates credit coupons. Would that do the trick from the point of view of the mechanism to account for a credit being given and a credit then being spent? We're not talking yet about how do you figure out how much the coupon is or when to issue one, but does the coupon mechanism make sense to you? Here's
yeah, I suppose it could, especially if there could be logged in the my account kind of section.
like if you click on, I just put in the chat window, a Google search, which has this particular thing I just referred to, creating store credit coupons. Right. So I think that's one part of the issue, right? Is that you want to be able to provide a credit which the customer can then use as they see fit on what's available, right? In other words, apply it in some form or fashion. And now the question is, well, how do you figure out how to start and stop a subscription so that you can calculate what's involved? And I don't know, does anyone, Drew or Jack, anybody have any experience with, does WooCommerce enable you to turn to track subscriptions and have start and pause and resume capabilities?
Oh yeah, so to clarify that, they do, but I'm not using that functionality. Like it's the word subscription is not in that sense. It's more defined as they've already subscribed to our service. They prepaid for the whole year. So because I looked into that, but basically we have some clients who pay one time upfront, and you can't really, the pausing only really works if they're like paying on a frequency that you set, right? Like a weekly frequency or monthly.
So they pay for a year up front, and you send them goods periodically, like every month or every couple of weeks or something like that. Is that right?
Every week they show up they pick up a
Okay.
box.
Okay.
If they don't want to show up, then we want to find a way to give them a credit. So the store credit's definitely
Okay.
one to look into. We also have the wallet system, which is basically the same thing, but I'm sure they have their little nuances.
Yeah. Another option is a plugin called Advanced Coupons. There's a
Okay.
free version and there is a premium version.
And that was called advanced
Advanced
Coupons.
coupons. Now,
So
what would they spend credit on?
Yeah.
If they've already sort of prepaid for the year, right? What else do you sell that someone could spend on with a credit from you?
Yeah, basically they can get like bulk vegetables, like, you know, when tomatoes are in season for canning, or they can also just get when they come back and like later in the year, they could just get a box of vegetables again if they want. So we have a product basically that's like, you know, farmers pick vegetable box for $35. So they could just choose that, or they could choose individual vegetables to create an order. And we use a local pickup plus basically. So they choose the pickup location and we get notified and everything.
Now, can people buy a 1-year membership at any point during the year, or does everybody's membership start at a fixed point in the year?
Basically a fixed point, like we've already sold out for this year. So
Okay.
yeah, purchases aren't allowed anymore.
All right. Okay. So it's not a question of, okay, well, we'll give you an extra month or something like that on your membership, you know, like he would say.
No.
Netflix.
Yeah, no, and then we run out of vegetables by
Right.
January. So
Yeah.
it's a 6-month kind of season.
Okay, right. So you're not the Netflix of vegetables.
No, definitely not. Just a small, humble farm.
Yeah. Well, I think that the advanced coupons might be something that you could use. I mean, it certainly does do store credit.
Yeah, I'll take a look. So I guess a more broad question for the group. Do you have any, would you dissuade someone from going to like an expensive kind of automation plugin like Uncanny? That's like $200 US a year, I think. Or try to go the like hire a developer to just code something that works.
How many people and how many coupons would you be looking at in the first couple of years?
Yeah,
I mean,
there'd
like
be
dozens of people or hundreds or thousands?
No. It'd be so we have 82 customers. So everyone might skip once, so that's 82, but some might skip many times. So we could be in the up to like 150, 200 range. Last year I did it manually. We were a bit smaller.
Yeah, because that's the one thing in a spreadsheet, for instance, could handle it relatively easily. And so it's a question of what's automation worth in terms of the time saved against the cost.
Yeah, I could do a napkin calculation just to see. I mean, yeah, and those Uncanny automators, like it would allow me to set it up for 200 US.
Now
but I have to pay that subscription every year, I guess.
Yeah, you are using WooCommerce for your transactions, right?
Correct.
If you're looking at automation specifically, and something like the free advanced coupons doesn't do it, you might look at a product called Automate Woo, which is an automation specifically for WooCommerce.
Nice. I think I heard of it. So it's like kind of like the other, those softwares that kind of can automate a whole bunch of different plugins and make them do things. Okay, yeah, I'll look into it. I don't want to take any more of your time, but I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Sounds like an interesting business, and more power to you for making it easy to sort of do a good thing. In the sense of, with more people that eat more local foods, and fruits and vegetables obviously locally are so much better for you, and for all of us in a sense that you're to be applauded.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, a part of it is just I'm always up for a challenge. So we started with Woo a few years ago, and we just keep kind of bending it to our will to do all these funky things.
Good. We'll come back again.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell us how you make out.
Will do.
Okay.
Well, I scrolled right to the bottom of the comments, and there don't seem to be, there are no new nothing new posted in the chat. I see we are sort of coming up to time.
Yes, let's see who's left. How about Jared Allen? Are you there, Jared? Oh, Jared. I guess not. How about Peter?
I'm just observing. I don't have any issues.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Happy to answer any questions if you do have one. And
Sure.
Let's see. We've also got, I'm mispronouncing, I'm sure, but Kwesi, Kwesi. You there, Kwesi? I guess not.
Good evening.
Okay, he is there.
Good evening from Tampa. Just here to hang out. New to WordPress, about 8 months now.
Right.
And yeah, thank you for having this. Thank you for having me.
So are you getting something useful out of the session?
Well, I was actually really curious about the first gentleman's issue where I think he was trying to remove the box that allows I guess email.
Right.
The newsletter signups.
Yeah, the email signups. If he was still here, I would have kind of invited him to like another group that I know of, because I was really curious about the solution to that.
Well, if you got a link or whatever, pop it into the chat window, and then on the off chance that he looks at this, he might find it. We can address it to him specifically.
Okay, yeah, I'll put it in there.
Or if
Because we've got his name, but that's to Jonathan Panetta, right?
Yeah. I took note of his name. I thought about maybe sending him a message.
Or just send him an email.
Yeah. But yeah, no. You guys got a nice group going. I just really appreciate you having this. Maybe I'm working on a website right now. I'll put it in the chat. But when I come across any questions I might have with a particular section that I will tell you guys about, I'll definitely bring it here. But what I'm working on now, and sorry to take up the time, but what I'm working on now is if you go to that site and you access the calendar, you put whatever dates in there and you hit search, the next page that it goes to, that's what I'm kind of tinkering with right now. and how all of that flows. I just learned the other day that it's kind of controlled through the settings. The settings has like a drop-down box of like different pages. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
You say the calendar, so maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. I click book now and it goes to Airbnb.
Yeah, when you on the home page,
yeah,
should be a place where you are allowed to click dates.
Oh, okay, right. All right. I see a date. All
And when
right.
you click those dates and you hit search, you're gonna go to a page that's like really messed up, and that's because I just realized that section existed, and I was plugging stuff in there, trying to mess with the short codes. That's what I'm kind of working on right now, wrapping my head around that. I thank you for indulging me.
No problem. So come back at a future date and let us know how you're doing, and if we can help you with anything. There are other clinic type groups. Portland, for example, is a really good one. There's one down in your neck of the woods, Gwinnett, which I think is north or west or east of Atlanta, which is run by a very capable small group of people. And so what one group can't do, sometimes another one can. So
right. That's what I found. And but just God bless all of you for taking.
Well, we've all benefited from it as well in our days of plodding along and sort of figuring things out, the lay of the land and so on. And if you've ever been to a WordCamp, you'll know that this sort of community-driven kind of activity is part of the core kind of values of the WordPress group as a whole. So.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I haven't been to an actual WordCamp event, but that's good to know.
Well, they're just coming back now for the in-person versions now that COVID has released its death grip on us. And as part of their kind of, here comes WordCamp again, they're trying to sort of chart them up into sort of more attractive from a marketing point of view. So it'll be interesting to see what the people have come up with in their thinking about what will attract interest to WordCamps as we kind of resume life as it used to be, knowing that it'll never be quite the same as it was before, especially if you lived and worked downtown.
WordCamp Miami has always been a big one, I think.
Yes, I think that's probably the second or third largest after WordCamp US. I think LA is also pretty big. Anyway, so I think we're done for the week or this session, unless anybody has any final sort of parting comments. No. Okay, guys, thanks for coming. There'll be the video and transcript and the rest out probably Thursday from the looks of things.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Okay, take care all.
Bye.
Ciao.